Everybody, this is Ed from This Day in Metal, and today I'm joined by former Iced Earth vocalist, current frontman of Into Eternity, and a man who's collaborated with Annihilator recently, Stu Block, and the mastermind behind Beltfed Weapon, a giant in the Seattle metal community, Frank Hetzel. We're here to talk about Beltfed Weapon's new single, Tortured Within, which was released recently, which features Stu on lead vocals. It's available now on all streaming platforms. What's going on, guys? How are you doing?
It's happening.
Excellent.
Great to be here with you guys. Let's talk about the single. I listened to it a bunch after it was released, and I'm really impressed at how many different styles are really blended into this one song. You've got some death metal going on, you've got some thrash, even some power and speed metal. Can you tell me how this song kind of came together, and Stu, how you kind of became involved in this project?
Frank, take it away because you put it together.
Okay. So basically, I've had this song idea for a long time, Tortured Within, and as I got ready to get this thing going, I hit up Stu to record on it, and I was kind of adamant about, hey, one of my favorite Into Eternity songs is Timeless Winter. I really like the different vocal styles that you did in that particular song. Maybe you could kind of give me a little bit of that on this. And he was like, yeah, sure, no problem. And then once he got the tracks and he did it, I mean, he went in and did it probably within a few hours. And it was kind of funny because he was like, hey, I'm going to go record. You got lyrics? I'm like, oh, shit. No, not really. Oh, well, give me a little bit. Let me see if I can put something together. And I actually put something together real quick, and it was a perfect time for it. And man, he rolled with it and took the words that I wrote and kind of moved them around a little bit, which is perfectly great. And he just did an amazing job. And the vocal styles is just amazing. I wouldn't change a thing about this song at all. So yeah, I'm very happy with it, and I like having the two different vocal styles mixed with Beltfed Weapon. It's kind of an accident how this thing whole happened back with Raining Plague. I actually had another guy that did some touring with Into Eternity, Dean Sternberg, and I was like, man, I'm really hearing some clean vocals on one particular song, the song Raining Plague, and he started listening to it, and he was like, man, I'm hearing cleans all over this. I was like, well, he's a good vocalist. Why not see what his mind is stirring up? And I let him go and do his thing. And I was like, wow, that totally works. I said, man, that's cool. So that's how the both vocal styles really came to be fronted into Beltfed Weapon, kind of went in a different direction. And yeah, I love it. And it's cool because it works. The vocal styles work with the music, both styles. And I think it's really cool. You can put the thrash metal, the death metal, the thrash metal vocals over what I'm doing. And I think it's awesome.
I would agree. And Stu, how did you have a previous relationship with Frank before you guested on this, or?
No, and forgive me if Frank, have we met before? Did we meet ever? Frank?
Actually, yeah, 2007.
Okay, I think we did. I feel like we did, man. Yeah, because now I see you in Seattle. I think we met.
Yeah, I did the Seattle Metal Fest in 2007 with Overkill, Goat Whore.
Right, man.
Destruction, and I had you guys come in and play that, and it was.
Was that the Showbox?
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that.
Wow, iconic venue.
That's where I remember you from, bro. Yeah, I know exactly.
Yeah, what a wild day that was, and yeah, it was great, and yeah, that's how we met. And Into Eternity's been one of my favorite bands for a long time, so yeah, it was cool. And then it's an honor to work with you, and man, we made some killer metal. I love it.
Hell yeah, man. No, it's good. No, Frank. So yeah, obviously Prelude, Frank and I have met, and basically, it was a really cool thing when he reached out because I've been doing a lot of session work and I get a lot, so I deal with a lot of clients and a lot of people, and I kind of don't even consider Frank as a client. I consider him as kind of like a collaborator, you know what I mean? So there's that differentiation, but definitely we had a good time with recording this stuff, and I remember that Metal Fest, man. That was a wild time. That was a wild time, dude. That was really crazy. And I had a really good way, really sort of a way, but like a good time recording vocals over his music, and he fed me the the lyrics, right? But he didn't really have any major placement. And like he was saying, you know, hey, where's your lyrics? So, and the cool thing about Frank is that he let me do my thing. He let me just do my thing, and he let me just unleash how I would want to unleash. And some clients are good like that, and some clients aren't. And that's why I don't consider Frank a client. I consider him a collaborator, because he definitely let me do what I wanted to do. And I think it really came out on the actual song itself. I had a great time doing it, man. He writes really good music. The lyrics were killer. And like he was saying, man, I love mixing that thrash clean, like a few different vocals in there, a little bit of layering and stuff like that. But yeah, it was definitely fun to do, man. Frank's a bit of a beast.
No, likewise, dude. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
The way I look at it too, it's like when somebody's good at what they do, I would never hold somebody back from expressing themselves. So I was like, hey, dude, you're a pro. You know what you're doing. Hey, what are you thinking to this? Here's the foundation, and
Absolutely,
let you kind of put the house together, you know, on top of the concrete kind of a deal. Yeah.
And you're the type of guy that I love to work with, man. And in all capacities, because you've hired me for me, and you hired me to do what I do. And there's a few people out there that are like, no, I want you to do the, you know, very strict kind of stuff, and which are fun. They're amazing people to work with as well. But some of my most favorite are like you, Frank. Absolutely.
I appreciate that. And I know what you mean, because some people are adamant. Sometimes I hear certain things in my head too. But like I said, it's like, you know, I would never shut somebody out who's really good at what they do, to let them express themselves. And yeah, I definitely want to work with you some more. We're going to make some more metal for sure. I
Hell yeah, man. Love your stuff.
Thank you.
Well, that leads me to a follow-up. I know that this is just a single, right? Is there another EP on the way? I know you've released several.
Right now, what we have another single that's all recorded except for the solo. That's probably a couple weeks away. And then the artwork's being created, and I'm going to have the lyric video created for that once the artwork's done and everything. So probably in about, I don't know, 3 months, realistically, we have another single coming out, which is a banger too. It's got a total different vocal style to it. It's more of I'm hearing like a thrash black metal kind of vocal style in it.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
No cleans in it, which is awesome. It's very well done. And yeah, I ended up writing the lyrics for that too. Kind of, oh shit, I got to put something together here. And yeah, Stu did a great job with that one too. I love that song. It's really good. So I'm excited for that one.
So that also features Stu.
Yeah. And the same like Mike LaPond on bass, and Craig and Lum on lead guitar, and Brian Newberry on drums. Amazing drummer. That guy's a beast.
Oh yeah.
You might be familiar with him, right, Stu?
Yeah. Brian's a beast, man, for sure. He's a farming drumming machine, is what he is.
Yes, he is.
He's doing good. And Mike LaPond, I've toured with Symphony X a couple times, and Mike's an amazing human. You know, the thing about Mike is it's a really cool story, man. He was close to death, you know, and he had pretty bad heart attack and stuff like that, and he was heart condition and stuff like that, and this was many years ago, and it was just amazing seeing him come back and just fucking rock it, man.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, there was I think they were saying there was like he had something with his heart or whatever, and yeah. Well, but I mean, I don't want to put, you know, whatever, all good. But he's super killer, man. I love working with him. Toured with Symphony. I love Russell Allen. I'm a big Russell Allen fan. So yeah,
he just played over here not too long ago.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, the greatest thing about doing these two singles, and even Dark and Demise EP too, everybody's just really easy to work with, very professional. And I mean, it couldn't have gone any smoother with anybody on all these songs, from Dark and Demise, and even some stuff in the past too. And it's really great. And yeah, I'm looking forward to doing some more stuff. I don't have any EPs lined up. I'm kind of regrouping a little bit right now. Take a little time off, working on some new riffs, and then I'm going to be going back to work. And at some point, I want to start working on putting together a full-length record. I've always wanted to do a full-length EP or full-length vinyl, sorry. And so that's the goal, and that's going to take some time, obviously. But I think we'll probably get a couple singles here and there, new singles, as that is in motion to get 10 songs written and recorded and whatnot. So, but yeah, I'm really excited about doing that too. So all good things take time. Unfortunately, that's just how it goes.
I'd imagine it's also kind of difficult to coordinate everyone's schedule too.
Yeah, a little bit. Everybody's busy with their own stuff, and but not too bad. It's just a matter of me getting everything ready. That's the challenge.
Yeah. So and that seems like so you have the same lineup on the next song. One of the things I've noticed about your music and your EPs so far is that you generally have a number of guest and session musicians, and I'm assuming that's from working in the area and making those contacts along the way, right?
Yeah, when I used to do the festivals, and then also just a lot of them I've noticed has just been good friends of mine for many years, like Jason Vibrooks and Jeff Loomis, very good friends of mine, and Andy Beach from Raining Plague, and many more. Tim Amir was a really great experience working with him too. Unfortunately, he passed away before the EP came out, and that was really sad. And the last song he recorded before he passed away was Eternal Fire, and rest his soul. Such an amazing vocalist and easy to work with, and had everybody else. Steve Tucker was great to work with, and Brian played on all 5 of those songs too. And it was just amazing. Jeff did some solos, Craig, and it's just, God, it's so many people I know, and it's just
an
funny
impressive list when I look at it.
Yeah, and I didn't intentionally mean for that many people to be on it. I actually originally talked to Stu about singing on the EP, but he had some stuff going and it wasn't able to work out. And so I was like, well, shit, what am I going to do? Because I still wanted to do both vocal styles. So I reached out to Tim Amir, and he was cool to do some stuff. And then Jason, my buddy Jason from Exhorter, he introduced me to Steve Tucker, and he was down to do a couple songs too. And coordinate with everybody. It did take some time to get everything together. And then of course I added another song after everything was done. Like I just pulled a song out of my ass and wrote it in 4 days, which is Accept Your Insanity. And I'm like, man, I got to put this on the EP. It's got to be a 5-song EP, not a 4-song. So that delayed it. But it was well worth the wait. I don't have a record label breathing down my neck or anything. So, it's cool.
I was going to ask about Tim, because when I listen to even in the breakdowns in the more death metal breakdowns in Tortured Within, I get that feeling of like death and control denied. So I was curious about how you ended up working with him. So thank you for sharing that. And if it was the last thing that he recorded, that Control Denied album is unbelievable.
Oh man, so good, man. It's so good.
Yeah, it's unbelievable stuff.
Yeah.
For me, that album is up there with Master of Puppets, Rain and Blood, Rust in Peace. Those are my top albums, and Control Denied is right there too. It's amazing, and what an honor to work with him. And I appreciate the compliment, because on hearing some of that style in Tortured Within, that's great. I didn't mean to do that.
No, that's the first thing. That's where my brain. Hey, everyone's brain works different, right? But that's what I heard. I'm like, this is what it reminds me of. That's where my brain went immediately.
Very cool. I appreciate that a lot. That's quite a compliment. And I know Tim would be proud. He's looking down, going, "Fuck yeah."
That's awesome. So along those lines, you were listing like your favorite albums, things like that. For both of you, either of you can go first, whichever. But who are your main inspirations for, Stu, obviously for your vocal style, and Frank, for you when you're sitting down and you're putting riffs together? Like, who were the inspirations for you to pick up a microphone and pick up a guitar?
Frank, you go.
Okay.
No, you go, bud. You go.
Okay. Honestly, Death and Control Denied, Nevermore, Iron Maiden. Some of my stuff is like Iron Maiden style, kind of sped up a little bit, but and that's pretty much my influence as far as guitar playing, and Exodus and bands like that. And there's so many. If you notice, there's a lot of different musical styles. Morbid Angel is one of my favorite bands too. Nile. So I try to incorporate the death metal, the thrash metal, the speed metal, kind of all in the music, and arrange it to where it actually makes sense, which is, it's kind of tricky to do, but my ears just kind of I don't know. They just kind of tell me what to do as I start mapping stuff out with drums and putting riffs together, and it's pretty cool. As far as vocals, what made me want to go this direction with the cleans is actually Iced Earth and Into Eternity. Those two particular bands, which I liked a lot. I thought, man, I was listening to a lot of them at the time. I thought, man, that'd be cool to do that. So that's how that all came about.
And for
Yeah,
you,
man.
Stu?
Yeah, so a lot of it, because I was as far as singing, it's a very broad spectrum. That's
Well, I was going to
really
say
what I
your
do.
range is you have a huge range.
It's a very broad spectrum. When I was doing my thing in Vancouver and BC, so one of the main ones that really wanted me to push me to go forward to become a singer was 3 Inches of Blood.
Okay.
So 3 Inches of Blood was a big thing because they were the local guys. They were out there touring. They were doing clean vocals and death vocals. They had two different singers, but they were doing that. And then so I really got attracted to them. I really, really loved them a lot. And so Cam Pipes was a big influence for mine and then for a local scene, for just like, oh my God, I really need to do it. But as stars in my eyes, metal bands, it would be Maiden, Priest, those types of bands where it's like those are the larger than life bands that had vocals that I really liked. So as far as the larger than life stuff, pretty much the usual suspects. But then Cannibal Corpse came into play for me, right? So I loved Cannibal Corpse, and I loved the death vocals. And then I started getting into more European stuff. So then I started getting into Shadows Fall,
Yes.
which wasn't European, but I got into like more kind of like that modern death metal kind of stuff. And then as far as European stuff, I really, really got into Winter Sun, which was a big thing for me. Yari was doing some cool black metal stuff with clean vocals and really cool stuff. So I was really getting into like the Viking bands, which was Insuferium and Winter Sun and all that kind of stuff. So there's a broad spectrum to. I can't nail it down to one band or one singer. Because I love Frank Sinatra. You know what I mean? I love, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like all of the crooners. I like clean singers. I like people. I like David Coverdale. Like I love singing all that shit. But when it comes to metal and extreme metal, it was really a few key players, which was the Cannibal Corpse, and then it was the 3 Inches of Blood, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. And then I discovered Into Eternity. And I was a fan of Into Eternity before I was in Into Eternity. And then I discovered this band that was doing crazy prog that met clean vocals and death vocals. Then I got into Cynic, which was like, holy shit. Like I was like, okay, these are crazy computer vocals, but I saw the vision. And so yeah, those are kind of my main basic influences. Anybody that's especially for metal, anybody that was doing like either straight up cool fucking death vocals, like which was Cannibal Corpse for me back in the day, and Exit, and I got into thrash too, so I got into like Testament, Exodus, like all the killer bands. But I started where I started was like, how can I do a death vocal and then do a clean vocal afterwards? So that's really where I came into it. And then I started discovering bands like Cynic that were doing that. But I was like, okay, that's computer, but how is a human supposed to do that? So my brain started trying to figure out how to do that. And it took me about 10 years, roughly, of spitting out blood, doing things the wrong fucking way, everything. And then finding my own voice. So big fan of people that were utilizing either multi vocals or were really good at that main vocal kind of thing. So so for metal, yeah, I was into the cleans, into the deaths, and then as a person, I'm into everything, man. Like I'm into so many, like, I like so many different styles of music, and I don't want to get into it, but like it spans to pop, it spans to, rap, all that kind of stuff. But I pick and choose my battles when it comes to that. And what I like, but as long as it's good, I love it. And I love mixing up styles. I love mixing it up, but as long as it makes sense, and it has to transition well. It has to make sense within the song. So when I'm kind of with Frank stuff, I'm not going to be busting out anything crazy, but like I definitely heard that clean death, and then a layering of, you know what I mean, a layering of those vocals, which was really cool. But yeah, definitely. But yeah, as far as the major players, I'm just like I'm a basic bitch, man. I come down to like I like the Maiden, the Priest, the Queensryche, like I some of my most favorite. But then when it comes to like the local scene, I was listening to a band called Dayglow Abortions, and they were like they were out of, Frank, Dayglow?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were this dirty, crusty, thrashy, just don't give a hell, kind of band, and I got to meet them at in Vancouver many times, but there was a charm to it. There was a, and so not that I was trying to mimic what they were doing, but I knew that like that was kind of like there's a charm to this. Like people actually really really kind of dig this, and even though it's just super crusty and all that kind of stuff, but I really really just kind of connect to a lot of different styles. But those would be my mains, like. Even to this day, man, I still listen to Winter Sun's first album. Like to this day, it's one of my, when I'm hitting on an airplane, I just love listening to that album. I love listening to, like the first three albums of Iron Maiden. I like listening to like the early Judas Priest, early, like I said, early Maiden, early Testament, man. Like
Yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
dude, it blew my mind.
Those first two albums are killer.
Come on, man. Just like so crazy. So I really got into Annihilator as well. And which fast forward, I got to, and Iced Earth. So, but at the very beginning of my career, I knew that I liked to switch up vocals. I knew that I wanted to switch up the vocals, and I wanted to switch them up in my own way. And then, so I just, I've always been into diversity. I've always been into diversity in metal. So it's been really fun, man. And being able to harness that stuff. But man, even these days I'm doing stuff, even with my wife, I'll do like a Bruce Hornsby song. I'll do like a Fleetwood Mac song. We'll do like Chris Stapleton. We'll do all that kind of stuff, So I really switch it up. Like I have many different multitudes to my voice, and I try to utilize it in every project that I do. And so, especially with Frank, there's a lot of cool stuff going on there. And I wanted to make sure I was utilizing it, but not overutilizing so it confuses the listener as well. Yeah. Right. So, yeah.
It worked out perfect. Yeah.
I think what you're saying, it comes through. And even in that track, even within Tortured Within, it really comes through, and you can tell. Listening to your stuff in other bands and Into Eternity and Iced Earth, like it really does come through.
But I will say the early Into Eternity stuff, I was finding like, oh my God, I got all these voices, right? And so I can like Tides of Blood, like there's a bunch of different songs that I could name that I'm like, maybe I could have reeled myself. I could have probably brought the fishing rod in a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's the piece of artwork that we built. And I was young, naive, and I was like a kid in a candy store behind a microphone, and we were just having fun. But I think that really built me to the person that I am, the vocalist that I am today. Anyway.
Yeah, you said that you became a fan of Iced Earth. So I saw in an interview that from a few years ago, you stated that when Horror Show came out in 2001, you were a huge fan of it.
Yes.
And then I think you've said that Barlow was an influence on your vocal style too.
Huge. Yeah. So, absolutely.
So fast forward 10 years from that album's release and you're in the band. How did that happen? And what was your reaction to it? And how did the experience of being in the band match up with the expectations you had?
Oh man, yeah. So just to answer your first part of the question, um, how did it come to fruition? Well, when I was in Into Eternity, we toured with Iced Earth.
Okay.
And yeah, so we toured with Iced Earth, and Matt was singing, and it was when he was kind of freshly back, if not couple 3 years, and we went on tour with them. And I actually, it's funny, I remember a specific thing actually in Seattle when we played a show in Seattle. I was talking to Matt, and I was like, I'm a huge fan or whatever, and he was like, yeah, he said to me, he was like, yeah, you have a really unique voice. You have a very unique voice, and I absolutely do not understand how you can do that every night. And so I was like, well, we only have a 30-minute set, right? So I could just get balls. And but he was such a humble, amazing, amazing human. Matt Barlow, to this day, is one of the most beautiful people that I've almost ever met. He's such a wonderful guy and a wonderful singer. So yeah, but anyway, how I got in the band was, so I toured with them and I was warming up backstage, and John actually opened up our door. And he's like, "Who's singing right now?" And he looked, and I was like, "Well, that would be me." He's like, "Man, you got something going on there." And he just kind of pointed his fingers like, "You got something going on there." And I was like, "Well, thank you, sir." And I was like, that's cool. You're John Schaefer? Oh, holy fuck. like, what did you just say to me? And he's like, "You got something going on there." And I was like, "Thank you very much, sir." And then I went home and licked the wounds from the tour. And we were just a small band, so we came home with basically breaking even, maybe in debt a little bit, and we had a great time. And so I was working my other job, and I would say probably it was most likely about a year, maybe 2 years later after that tour. Don't correct me if I'm wrong, all you internet sleuths. But I got a call from Century Media, and it was one of the PR reps for Iced Earth. Wouldn't say who he was repping, but he said he was with Century Media. And so I pick up this call, and I believe his name was Clay, and I still remember him to this day. I can't totally remember his last name, but anyway, he phones me up and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing these days?" I'm like, "Well, just hanging out, doing my thing with Into Eternity." And he's like, "So, what's your life like? Do you?" And he started to ask me, "Do you got kids?" All that. I'm like, "Dude, to be honest, I was just like, get to the fucking point. Like what? Stop doing this shit. Stop doing this. Let's do this. Like, let's figure this out." And so he's like, "Hey, listen, there's a bigger band that saw a video of you, and they may be interested in having you try out for the band." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine, but you got to tell me what band and what's going on." Well, and then he basically said, "It's Iced Earth." I literally dropped the phone. Like, I literally dropped the phone because dude, I was just like, that's one of the biggest, that's a huge heavy metal band. Like, that's like, why are they interested in a silly Canadian from fucking Saskatchewan? You know what I mean? And so I was just like, okay. After I pick up the phone, I was like, "Okay, well, so what are we talking here?" And he's like, "Okay, listen, it's Iced Earth." Yeah, after he told you, it's Iced Earth. John wants to talk to you. So he arranged. I said, "Okay, we'll give him my number, and then we can talk." And then 2 days later, John and I talked, and I was pacing in my apartment. So I had like this duplex thing. We're at a basement, and I swear that whole conversation, I wore a hole in the carpet, just pacing around, listening to him talk about the industry and about what he wants to do and all this kind of stuff. But long story short, he said, "Listen, let me fly you out. I want to fly you out, and I want you to come and record some songs with me." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And so we did. and we showed up. I showed up, Indiana, and it was awesome. And we recorded. So we first what we did was he wanted me to hear my voice over the recording, right? And so he put me behind the mic, and I felt like he was satisfied with what the voice was. And then he's like, okay, let's try writing a song together. And so our first song that we wrote together was End of Innocence, which was a song because my mom was battling cancer at the time. In fact, she was battling it pretty hard. So John and I sat down on his couch with his beautiful dog. And he had this beautiful basset hound and named Baron. And we wrote this song together, and we did the first demo in his studio. And I'll never forget it. He made me, like, well, didn't make me, but like he had a big blow up bed for me in the front of the studio, and I was sleeping on it. And I'll never forget it. I was waking up in the morning, and I heard him talking to whoever his manager was or whatever. And he's like, only thing I picked out, because he was I couldn't hear what he was saying, but then I heard, I think we found our guy. And I was just like, what? And I was just energized. I was just like, what is going on? And so he comes upstairs, and I heard what he said. And then a few hours later, we start recording. And then he sits me down and he goes, man, do you want the gig? And I was just like, is that easy? Is it that easy?
Yeah.
But and he was like, call your wife, see if she's down, see if she's cool with it. And like, my wife is the coolest person on earth. I know she's gonna be down with it. She's like, she's my rock. She's my best friend. And so I called her, and then she was like, why are we talking? Yeah, let's go take it and run. And so, yeah. And then it was just from there, we did our thing, man. Yeah, it was really cool. Really cool experience, man. Really cool experience.
That's awesome. Those albums are great, if not a little bit underrated, I think. And then that live album is unreal. The live album you guys cut from Cyprus is
Lord,
unreal, with the mix of the songs that obviously you're the lead man on, and then you doing the older stuff. That album's unbelievable.
it's unbelievable that I pulled it off, man. Like, there was a lot of we all, everybody. It was like it was 98 at night. Oof. Like, it was crazy hot. It was and it was an ancient Byzantine Empire stadium.
You're saying the ventilation probably wasn't too good.
Yeah. We had our backs were to the sea, and the sea was probably about 10 miles behind us. So we had a little wind. But no, it was an amazing experience, man. And it was killer.
Very cool. Frank, I know you mentioned Jeff Loomis before. And you said that you were friends with Jeff Loomis. I'm assuming, were you friends with all the Nevermore guys?
Yeah, I've known Nevermore for a very long time. Way back when Beltfed first started, we used to rehearse next to them. Little place called Studio A, I think it was, way down in the south part of Seattle by Studio 7. Yeah, so I got really good friends with all those guys, and Jeff and I used to hang out a lot, and he gave me some guitar lessons back in the day, and yeah, we've just ended up being really good friends for many years. And he's such an amazing human being, and he's definitely my best friend, and he's done so much for me as far as music and even in my personal life. Been a very huge supporter of what I've done and my accomplishments, and yeah, just a great guy. And obviously, you guys know he's an amazing guitar player, and he is just as good, if not better, of a human being too, as well.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, I love Jeff, man. I love him so much. Yeah, I got to tour with him, and he's. I don't want to interject, but like, we're on the Jeff subject, and that guy is probably one of the most, like, you look in his eyes and he's just an innocent human. Like, he's just, all he eats, breathes, lives music, and he's just a wonderful human. So I could see how Frank developing a good relationship with him, and I could see him being just the same as a friend, yeah, really amazing dude, man.
Yeah, a very, very cool guy. And yeah, he's just got so many good ideas, and he's gave me a lot of good pointers. And has helped me out, and I'm very influenced by him too. And God, if I could just play a tenth as good as he can, but it don't matter, man. It's just all about fun,
As
And
long as you can
I
still
could
get
say
him to
that about a
solo.
lot of. I could say that about a lot of singers too, man. I could just put myself up against things like, oh man, if I could only sing like that. But hey, man, we do what we do, man.
Yeah, I have no problem. Like, hey, Jeff, check this riff out I got. I'll play it for him. Show him some stuff. He's like, all right, cool. I'm not afraid to play in front of him. I don't care.
That's right, man.
It's a lot of fun. But yeah, great guy, and everybody that I've worked with has just always been really good, good friends, and turned out to be just an awesome experience up to date. And I'm looking forward to doing a lot more, definitely with you, Stu. And I thought it was really cool when we started talking about working together. You're like, so who's going to play drums? You going to have Brian? I'm like, oh, absolutely. And yeah, I know you and Brian are tight really, really well too. And I was like, yeah, that guy is amazing. And you know what? He just did everything that was necessary to the songs. There was nothing that, the way he wrote his parts and structured his drumming to the song was absolutely perfect. It was a great experience, and such a beast. And wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Him and his wife are completely amazing people, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. He's cool, dude. I love working with him too. I can't wait to meet him and play live one day. One day we got to do this.
I was going to say,
Frank, I know Frank was telling me, he's like, we got to do some live shows. And, I'm always open to it, but just I got a lot going on.
Totally understandable. But when the time's right, Stu, down the road, when it works schedule wise for everybody, if you're down, we're gonna make this happen, bro.
I'm down, Frank. I'm down.
All right. Well, that's all I need to know, because it'll happen.
You got it.
I was going to ask if you guys had any shows planned, but so thank you for beating me to the chase right there.
Well, we're trying to do your questions before you do the question.
No, I know, it's great. It's great. I'm in the middle of a band planning session. I've always wanted this for myself.
That's okay.
Take
charge, man. You got it.
I don't know. I was gonna follow up. Any memories of Warrel Dane from the Seattle scene?
Oh, many memories of Warrel. Oh man, we've hung out quite a bit, and he was a great guy. I loved Warrel a lot. I miss him a lot. It's sad that he went away too. It was a really cool memory one time. Me and my daughter were over at Jeff's house, and we're all kind of hanging out, and my daughter's sitting on a beanbag. She was probably five or six at the time, I think, quite a long time ago. And Warrel and Jeff were sitting there. Jeff had an acoustic guitar, and I believe they were playing Insignificant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think either that or Dreaming Neon Black, one of the clean parts there.
One of the softer ones, yeah.
And my daughter was just sitting right in the middle of them, and I watched, and her eyes just lit up, and just Warrel just with his range, and Jeff just doing his thing, and I was like, man, what a cool experience for a kid to go through. Yeah. That was pretty
that
awesome.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, that was really cool moment.
I got a cool moment when we got to tour with Nevermore with Opeth. We did the Opeth Nevermore Into Eternity tour, and man, I'm telling you, yeah, Warrel just blew my mind, absolutely blew my mind, and I got to talk to him a few times, but the many times that I actually got to talk to him, he was just so down to earth. He was never arrogant or, I was just a young pup. I was just like this young, like I hadn't been out really much and stuff like that. And he just treated him and the whole band, him, Jeff, and even Jim, treated us with such respect and so good. But I'll remember him, always remember him actually, like I was walking and we were behind and he was sitting, it was near the backstage area. And I was walking and he was like, hey, and he kind of called to me. I'm like, oh my God, Warrel Dane's calling me. Oh my God, Warrel Dane's calling me. And then, and he was like, hey, come sit here. And he just does this, come sit down, man. Come sit down and talk. And he moves his, I think it was like a jean jacket or something, or a leather vest or something like that. He moved it for me, and I sat down with him, and I had a really nice conversation with him. And literally, so we talked about music, but he knew that I was a cat guy. Like I love cats, and he was like, "Oh man, I love cats too, dude." Like we were talking about nothing. We were talking about cats the whole time, dude. And it was super cool. He was so down to earth. He kind of was the type of guy that could figure out the right conversation to have with you. You know what I don't know how to explain it. Like he knew how to read a person. He really knew how to read a person and how to be respectful and super cool. Like really never met many people like that. I heard Ronnie James Dio was like that too, man. And definitely cut from the same cloth for sure. But yeah, that was a fun tour, and he just blew my mind. And then of course everyone knew what he was going through, right? And so he was trying to find meetings on tour and really trying to keep himself together and get himself on track. And so we hurt for him too. We were just like, man, like what a beautiful human, but he's struggling. You could tell he was struggling. And but there's like, it's weird because there's nothing you could do, like there was like, what can you do? And that's the thing about life, man. Just some people just get caught up, and I think there were demons that he had that he just. I think those demons ended up consuming, and even though he was just such a beautiful person to everybody else, like no one would have anything bad to say about that guy. I've met hundreds of big metal players, man, in studios and festivals and tours. I've never heard one person say anything bad about that man, and that's a true testament to his character and a true testament to the person he is. And I think it was I was very blessed to be able to even have moments with him or even share the stage with him, like being able to do that stuff. And so yeah, super blessed, man. That's my story. But Warrel Dane, rest in peace, brother. I fucking love you.
Thank you both, guys. Thank you both for that. That's beautiful, and it's awesome that and we're not even talking about his musical ability. We're just talking about the person that he was. That's an incredible testament to him. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
So Stu, what's on the horizon for you? Is there anything new with Into Eternity?
Yeah, so we're working on an album, man. We're working on
awesome.
an album. Yeah, so it's going to be slow going. We're going to make sure it's right. Make sure it's released right, make sure the music's right, make sure everything's right. We're not like Frank said, we don't have a record label breathing down our neck. So we want to release something that's going to be that we're very happy with and not forced to do, so we're taking it on our own time. So definitely an Into Eternity album will be happening. Also, I'm doing a solo album as well. So I'm working on a solo project. Project as in me, and I'm working with a few different people. I'm not really wanting to release who yet, but definitely working with a few amazing musicians that a lot of people know, and I think it's going to be super super killer. Yeah, and then I do a lot of session work for people all over the world, man. So if you're looking for me, man, hit me up. But yeah, definitely.
Free advertising on This Day in Metal.
You got it, man.
You won't be disappointed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I try, man. I do the best I can, man. And I think people, when they hire me, they know they hire me for me, right? They don't hire me to be a puppet in a lot of cases, like just to be someone else or whatever. But they hire me for me, so super cool. But yeah, lots of things happening, man. And I know me and Frank are going to do lots of stuff in the future, and it'll be killer.
That's great.
Yeah, very cool. Looking forward to that.
Frank, is there anyone that you want to get for Beltfed Weapon that you haven't yet?
Oh God. Honestly, I'm happy with everybody I've got up to date. Of course, there's. Oh, I mean, if I was to dream huge, I mean, the ultimate rhythm section. Oh God, if the ultimate rhythm section, if I were to have my choice, would do something with Gene Hoglan and Steve DiGiorgio. I mean,
hell yeah,
that's a hell of a combination.
Hell yeah.
Holy shit! I mean, you want to dream big, dream big. That's it. You know what? But I honestly, I am very happy with Brian and Stu and Mike and Jason. I still work with Jason and everybody else too. If people aren't available. That's kind of how I ended up with Mike LaPon, because Jason was not available at the time. He was busy with Exhorder, and that's what happens when you're working with people in big bands that are busy. Sometimes they're not available to do stuff. It's like, and then a good friend of mine, Crystal Skidmore, she introduced me to Mike LaPon. Say, hey, my buddy Mike, he probably played bass for you. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And so I reached out to him. She connected us and reached out. Super cool guy and very professional, easy to work with. And I was like, hey, I got everything tabbed out on Guitar Pro, and I could send you the files. And he's like, oh, I can't open those. He's like, oh, just send me the songs. And he did it all by ear, which is amazing. And he learned those 2 songs by ear. I'm like, holy shit. That's some
I love that old school approach, man. I love that, man. I love it. Yeah.
That's not easy to do, even for a lot of the great people, the great. That's
a true test on the musician for sure.
Yeah. Very easy, very professional. And honestly, no, I love everybody I'm working with. And Craig and Lum he's really into doing the solos for Beltfed. And I've kind of pitched the idea in the future. If he wants to do a little writing with me, he's welcome to. And we'll see what happens with that. And yeah, hopefully he'll want to maybe contribute some riffs or something. Who knows? But because it makes my life a little bit easier. I mean, I always like to have some different influences come in. But yeah, I'm very happy with everybody that I've worked with. And I definitely don't want to rebuild the carburetor, if it's running good.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the only way
tell Elon that.
Right. Yeah, the only way that I would be reaching out to anybody is like, if certain people weren't available and it got too busy with something. But yeah, I'm happy with everything that's going on. And I hope to play some festivals down the road one day, and got to do a full length record, because all I've ever put out was EPs. 2009 we put out an EP, 2015, and then 23, and it's easier because it's not so much cost and not so much time to do 5 songs, but it's time to just work on putting together a full length and making it on actual vinyl, and yeah, it'll be fun. It's just going to take time, and so I'm kind of woodshedding a little bit. I got my guitars out a little bit and been jamming.
There we go.
Custom Dehatry made by my good friend Andy Beach. I don't know if you can see that here.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Really cool. Yeah, he's done some bunch of work for Zach Wilde and Richie Faulkner, and he built a lot of Prince guitars, like 31 guitars back in the day for Prince. And I think Prince's estate, or I'm not sure the whole story, but just released some a bunch of clouds, and he built a bunch of them for that too. And just an amazing luthier and good guy too. So yeah, it's so much fun making music, playing guitar. And unfortunately I have to work construction, and I get caught up in that, doing a lot of overtime, so the music kind of gets set off to the side. And I have the luxury right now of not having to work, and so I just play guitar and sit around and do that and go for walks and do a little exercising and taking care of things. And yeah, it's all good.
That's great. I can't wait to see what comes next from both of you, honestly. Thank you both so much. I think I've taken enough of your time, but thank you so much for doing this, sitting down with me, talking at length about all these different questions that I have. It's been really awesome for me to hear these stories from you, and I can't wait to see what you guys do next. Beltfed Weapon's new single, Tortured Within, is available for streaming on all major platforms. There should be another single dropping soon, like Frank said, featuring Stu on vocals. For any news and updates, stay tuned to their socials and beltfedweapon.net. Guys, thank you so much for this.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you, man. Cheers.
I had a great time.